Hello everyone and welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson. I'm channeling the Man in the Moon today, and I am channeling. This is not necessarily political. We'll see what Spirit shows up with today. And I really don't know what's going on with the glowing head thing. It really is not planned. Just it keeps happening no matter where I sit in my yard. My head starts to glow. Perhaps it's telling me that I am going the right direction and really drawing the channel card here. I do want to maybe take a look at some things like, I know they're talking about 3 days of darkness, etc. I have a feeling that that timeline has changed, but I want to look at that and just kind of look at worry in general. We're all pretty worried. I'm feeling a lot better these days, and I recommend that you do everything in your life that you can to improve it, because that's something that you can change. It has really helped me, and to some degree I'm trying to accept that Spirit has a great purpose, and it's not necessarily under my control. I'm not giving up on the great changes that I believe will be happening fairly soon. I do believe there will be many changes afoot, but I want to ask Spirit, do timelines change, and how and why? We'll see who shows up. So the Spirit I've contacted. First I'm seeing a circle of stars. It's kind of like the EU flag, and it's sort of a circle of light. It's quite calming, and it almost feels like a bunch of different spiritual connections that kind of come together in one circle. And this sort of robed figure keeps showing me the way. He looks a lot like, maybe Confucius, someone I have channeled before. He's showing the way to even more light, and it's just like a very light source. It does feel like source. Like we could give it a name, and the name might be Aeon, but it feels like source. I'm just going to ask them if they want to work through me. Good people of Earth, we see that this is a complicated and difficult time. One reason that we present it as Aeon is we would like you to see the events of today in the scope of thousands of years. That is, if you were to see what is happening to your planet now from the perspective of a 1,000-year trajectory, things would not be so worrisome. That is, if you look back at the past, although there's terrible events in your cultural history, and those events, when put in context, are to be understood. That is, they may distress you. There are many things in the past that may distress you, and they may make you feel righteous, and there is nothing wrong with such a feeling. If you are to look at them as ways where humanity learned, this will be a huge advantage to you. Although you are in the middle of these events and the information about the events around you is constantly swarming you, it is important to note that this is clouding your perspective. If you are able to stand away a bit from the events, if you are able to see them as events instead of things to get upset about, it will be very helpful. You can say, what will I learn here? You can say, perhaps, I will need to be steadfast in my beliefs. I will have to move forward and stand shoulder to shoulder with others in a peaceful fashion. to accomplish a greater goal, and perhaps that is my destiny, and I accept that destiny. When you do this, you will feel more power. You will feel that you can confront anything because you can confront anything. You will also stop giving energy to fear. That is, those who would manipulate you are getting energy by doing so, by tricking you, by convincing you that certain things are true, by creating more fear in you. They are altering your behaviors. You can look at the behaviors even of your government and see that the actors, those people in power, even though they might be decent people, are altering their behaviors because they are afraid. And this is the true power of the shadowy forces that invade your earth. It is to manipulate you using fear. We do not wish to say that your fears are unreal. We know and we can see that there are real problems which must be confronted. Give yourself some credit. You have weathered great difficulties before in your life, and those were worse because they were personal as opposed to abstract. When we say abstract, we don't mean that they will not affect you, because they will. But they are abstract because they are people who do not really know you who are making these rules and laws. It is your job to make sure they see you. That is what the peaceful protest, should it happen, will be about. Don't spend your days worrying. If you find yourself in this situation, you must realize it is not helping you. Take the steps that are necessary to ensure your safety, and keep continuing to connect to the light and pray. This does help. It will create a greater balance inside you as opposed to outside of you. And we are hearing these prayers, and we are doing our best to organize things for the best possible outcome. We cannot know what that is right now because it is not completely decided. And yes, the future does change. From moment to moment, an assessment must be made about the best possible outcome for humans. We do not necessarily intercede directly, but the influences upon your earth are known to us. And we can see these influences pushing and pulling in each direction. Sometimes the pushing and pulling changes the trajectory of the future. Sometimes the passivity of those involved also changes the future, for it must be in a greater sense that those who are passive become less so, and they become active. That is their learning on this planet now. All of you are learning on this planet now, and we would again point to you and say, you are learning. You are doing exactly what you came here to do. In that sense, this is a destiny which you are ready to live. Your lives are not boring. That would be the real tragedy. If you lived in a place where nothing really changed, your consciousness would not expand. Again, we ask you to take this perspective. When you find yourself in the state of worry, see things from our point of view. What is really going on here? What am I going to do that will expand my own understanding? I am not going to worry about that of others, because I cannot change that. The timeline that comes about in a fairly complicated manner. It can change in a moment, because for us there is no time. And while we do not interfere directly, indirectly, we influence people as we are influencing Dave right now, and influencing you as you listen to this. So there is a complex dynamic where events on Earth control things, and a complex dynamic where they are not directly controlled in the way that you understand human control. Take the information that we give to you and make of it what you will. That is the best course of action. Take a look at all the information that you can find that is useful for you and apply it to your own lives. One method is not to be attached to outcome. You can pray for an outcome, but not be attached to the outcome, or it might not be in the highest good. It also might be that tomorrow everything will change, and the outcome that you desired will be available to you, just not on the timeline that you expect. There is a way to control yourself. There is a way to expand your consciousness. And you can look at this situation, though it appears dire, as one of opportunity and change. If you change, you will be in advantage. Those who will not change, who will not evolve, will be in disadvantage. This will not become obvious for some little time. In a way, it is a test of your ability to remain true to your principles and your ideas. A test also of self-awareness. Can I see in myself what might be better and can be changed by me? Do not spend your time watching things that are distressing. That is putting you in a state of greater distress. We understand that there's a minimum amount of information you might wish to collect, but understand that even that information is fairly suspect. It comes from a point of view or perhaps a limitation on human understanding. So take all the information with a grain of salt and reduce it to a minimum. The more you spend your time watching useless information, the less time you are spending on altering your life force, changing what you know and who you are. This, again, is something you have control over. You can change your life, whatever is going on. There are people in the most dire political situations who are still able to change, alter their consciousness. They can be a better friend or perhaps a more aware person, regardless of the social situation around them. If you are giving your time to these stressful visual experiences, then you are giving up your power. And part of what is going on right now is that message. Stop giving away your power. Stop spending your time with those who create controversy. Allow the universe to play out what is needed now and leave the rest behind. Again, focus on love. Focus on changing minds by being an example of love. Respond to unkindness with kindness. This does not mean you do not respond at all, for that is a lack of power on your part, and it, to some degree, gives power to those who would behave badly. When you respond with love and kindness to whomever you speak to, they will be changed. It will affect them perhaps in a very quiet way, but the change does take place. And you will be changed. You will have the, let us call it, grace to stand in your power without harming another. And you will be an example to those who argue with you, but also to those who watch. And this is the most important thing at this time, to be an example, not to be passive, but to move forward with love. Demonstrative love. Love which changes minds. Love which is not just easy love. It is not just relaxing love. But it is not confronting either. It is simply being being the example. If there are those on television, those who are in the political realm you disagree with, spend some time looking at yourself and say, is there any part of me that is like that? Maybe part of the lesson is, this is a bad example, and I must use that bad example to make my life and my actions better. There will come a time when you will look back on this life as a life among many. How would you describe it then? What would be the best way to live so that when you are on the other side, you can say, I learned this. I acted rightly. I did my best to be kind and elevate, whether I was practically successful or not. I did my best to alter my own consciousness. And ultimately, that is the most important thing to do. Again, we want to stress, the more you are spending time in this way, the less you are spending time in fear. And this is our advice for now. Again, we will tell you, this time is a time of great flux. It is almost impossible to predict the future at this point because things are changing so rapidly. They are simply not predictable. We will say that what is really happening beneath your feet is that the earth is changing. It is as if a slice of the earth were cut away, and the earth is reconnecting the edges from what has been taken away. This is going to cause great changes on the surface, beyond even the understanding of those who have power. If you connect with this earth and feel her love, and this will also be helpful. Do not hesitate to go to natural places or even to look at natural places on your technological channels. Do not hesitate just to water a flower and connect to nature in this way. This will do you much good, as will meditation and reflection. These are the principal events of this time. This is why these things are happening. It is a way of having some control, but also of giving up control. We want you to know that we appreciate the difficulties that you are going through. We appreciate the sensitivities that you experience. The emotions that you are having are very real, but they can be cultivated in a way that is more beneficial to you. We send this message from the universe with all of our love. Feel the love that we send to you. Feel the love of the earth, love of all of the universe. It's focused on you at all times. It is merely a question of opening the door and allowing the love to come through and accepting that you are perfect as you are. You are perfect as you will be, and you were perfect as you were. The events in your life are, in some sense, making you even more perfect. We send this message with love, and now we will cease this transmission. All right, thanks so much for watching.